The Spanish Announce Table.
You are watching the Spanish Announce Table. It is episode 413. AEW Dynamite just went off the air a little bit ago. We are tuned into the right frequencies here, or whatever the fuck they say for the new digital internet age. We are streaming live, Tom, here on the YouTube. If you're listening back to this later on the podcast, you missed it. Sucks. You could have been watching us live right here on the YouTube, like Tom was doing right over there. If you didn't catch that,
I gotta make sure.
Noise.
Got to make sure that we're on the air, you know what I mean? Or live streaming, whatever the hell you want to call it. You know what? We're pushing knobs, we're moving faders, we're doing all the things that we should be doing.
We are, and I'd like to point out that we are, right? We're not sitting here doing this with a production crew behind the camera. More on some of that later. But you know, it's just us. We've got to do this live. We got to be twisting the knobs and faders, whatever you said, right? I like twisting things. But it takes a lot of work, takes a lot of energy, and it takes a lot of money. So sometimes we need your donations, which you can do at SpanishAnnounceTable.net. We also have a Cash App that you can access on the Twitter. And sometimes you can just donate to us and be the beer sponsor of the week. And why I like to bring up the beer sponsor of the week, because it's been a while, Tom. Got ourselves a Slater Gator beer sponsor of the week. And I can't tell you how taken aback I was by the generous contributions of Mr. Jeffrey Todd, who I heard Jeffrey Todd's hair belongs in shampoo commercials. Jeffrey Todd, the beer sponsor of the week.
I heard that even though he has two first names, and you should always never trust a man with two first names, that he is actually a trustworthy person. He will watch your house. He will hug your baby. He is a good, upstanding citizen of the world. Jeffrey Todd.
I heard Jeffrey Todd does his crossword puzzles in ink. That's how awesome.
I heard that Jeffrey Todd, when he comes up to a railroad crossing, stops and looks both ways before crossing.
Solid dude. Solid dude, right?
Hey, so with the donation,
Todd,
hold on. So with the donation, because we're no longer in the same spot, I am at the Papa Shango Library and you're at your residency. We didn't get the same beer. So why don't we do a quick local plug? What did you get? And then I'll say what I got.
I got the KC Beer Company's, this might be backwards, Dunkel, which is like it's a Munich style brown lager, and KC Beer Company is one of the great local breweries here in the Kansas City metropolitan area, such as
Boulevard Brewing Company. I got the Buck O'Neill Legendary 22 Hall of Fame Class of 2022. It is a barrel-aged Saison Ale. Again, Buck O'Neill from the Negro League Baseball, also in the Negro League Baseball Hall of Fame. He was an advocate for the Negro League Baseball Hall of Fame. He also played and was the first black manager in Major League Baseball history. So definitely a legend. Glad that they were able to commemorate him in this alcoholic beverage. And so I am going to drink this. Fun fact, just for the real heads that are tuned in, that have made it this far. I'm on chemo because I have a fucking tumor in my shoulder. I haven't drank alcohol since I started chemo. We're going to all be on this journey together. And just like Hangman said, hold my beer. We're going to pop it open.
We're going to do a live science experiment right here on the Spanish Announce Table. And you get to
There
be
it
involved.
is.
Get in the chat with us live. Tell Tom, nice knowing you, or attaboy, bottoms up, whatever you want to say. Man, if you would have had like a thing to start fizzing out of you. See, you missed the spot, Tom. You really should have planned this better. Crazy now. Don't go boy who cried wolf. Later on in the show, you're gonna start feeling woozy and be like, yeah.
No, tastes
whatever,
great.
Tom.
Again, thank you so much to Jeffrey Todd. You are a upright, very great man of the world. We thank you for your contributions. We thank you for the compliments. We give you compliments, but you gave us a compliment. We thank you for that. And so much more. Also, what Jeffrey Todd did, and if memory serves me correct, because again, I don't fact check, Jeffrey Todd also got a Spanish Announce Table shirt from Pro Wrestling Tees, which you could also get prowrestlingtees.com/Spanish Announce Table. Pick up a shirt. I got the extra soft premium paid a couple extra dollars for it, but it is very nice. Here's the logo as you're seeing on the YouTube. Love it.
That's the beauty
Jeffrey
of it.
Todd's going to love his.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it at the Pro Wrestling Tees. You can pick your size, you can pick the kind of style of the shirt, right? You can go extra soft, or maybe you go that like light or extra durable, all kinds of stuff. Ship it right to you. We got Jeffrey Sill saying, took them way too long to vote him into the Hall of Fame, Casey Monarchs legend. And yes, if you're in the Casey area, check out the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. It's the same kind of building there with the Jazz Museum. Awesome time. You won't regret it, especially if you're a baseball fan. So much information. You could read. When I go to museums, I'm the guy who likes to stop and read all the little things, right? Like all the things. I'll make us take forever. And man, I had to speed it up at some point. I was like, I'm going to have to come back. I can't. You can spend 8 hours there learning all the crazy information. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Yeah.
Well, actually, I got a chance to meet Buck O'Neil before we get into our recap.
Really?
I actually got a chance to meet Buck O'Neil, junior in high school, 2003. That dates me. But I was interviewing the Kansas City Royals, part of a high school project. We got there before the game started. We're in there with the other media like ESPN. I'm like a high school from, Independence. Here I am sitting next to fucking, who was I sitting next to? Buster Oley, Anyhow, we're sitting there. We're waiting for the players. I'm interviewing Mike Sweeney again, all a bunch of Royals that, never has beens, whatever. And here comes Buck O'Neil walking in the stands with a giant green foam cowboy hat. And he's just giggling because he thinks it's funny, which it is. And he's an older man, this is 2003. And he's just giggling, kind of looking around like, yeah, this is funny. And we're all laughing. And then he just waves and there he goes. He said hi to us. That was all. But yeah, Buck O'Neil, Hall of Famer, great man, great baseball player as well. So yes, you said we're going to talk about wrestling. Let's talk about wrestling. Let's talk about our favorite pro wrestling show, and that is AEW Dynamite. And tonight was actually a special episode. It was Winter is Coming. I think so far, the signature moment of Winter is Coming would be Sting's debut. Wouldn't you agree?
Sure. Yeah, I think that's the one that resonates as far as like, let's do a playback video montage. That's memorable the one moment that will be first of a winter. That's the only one that if you told me, hey, grab something from a Winter is Coming, that's the one that immediately comes to mind even.
Now, I will say we have some memories made tonight, which we'll get into. But before we talk about maybe the most shocking moment of the year, we started off with the Best of 7 series. It was match 4 between The Elite and Death Triangle. This was good. This was a good tone setter. I think, we've talked about this in previous episodes. You kind of get a little bit like, oh man, we're going to be doing match 4 and 5 and 6. But when you kick off the show that way, the energy's already high, right? The crowd is already wanting to see the live television show. So I think this was a really good spot for it to be in because it was one of the shorter matches that they had. It kind of told a story which was somewhat interesting, but it really didn't have the flips and the shits and the jumps and the here and then going into the crowd and flipsy dippy here and here, grab my hand. Like it was more of a structured wrestling match. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I do. And it was unique. It's kind of stuck out as such, as you're pointing out here. And I like that they're keeping them at bay just now with this 3-1 lead. As we even dig into the match, the ending, with the hammer still coming at play and then the fallout from that. Like, I kind of like this. It's the Elite came back to all this fanfare, but yet, you're just not quite there. So do they overcome it in the end or do they wind up 4-1 in it?
I will say, and friend of the show, Brian J, at Brian_J_Bay, he does make a good observation, which I do want to bring up. He says, if you're going to kayfabe an injury, go to the back for medical attention, hobble down to the ramp, and then you get in the ring and you act like you aren't injured. So dumb. I will say I agree. Now, you could, again, get lost in the moment and say adrenaline took over. It wasn't broke. So that's why the limping stopped. But again, if you're going to leave, you got to sell it the whole way through. But yeah, this match has Nick Jackson leave because of an ankle injury. It's 2-on-3. The Death Triangle are taking advantage of the numbers. Nick does come down. I do like how he was like, no, I think I can do this because Tozawa, or nope, not Tozawa. Sorry. Michael.
I've
What's
done
his
this
name?
before too.
Michael
Yes.
Naka.
Nailed it.
Naka.
Nakasawa. Yeah, I forgot.
Nakasawa. There it is. I forget his name, but
Nailed
he's
it.
fun. But he's saying,
Let us
hey,
know in the
kids, don't
chat.
do it.
We don't fact check.
Yeah, or hashtag tweet table, either one. But he's like, hey, don't go out there. And he's like, you know what? I think I can do it. You could read his lips where he's like, I think I can do this. Gets in the ring. Long story short, Death Triangle uses the hammer again, but this time to the ankle of Nick Jackson. Death Triangle picks up the victory. So now that's a 3-1 lead for Death Triangle over the Elite. But post-match,
nobody would blow a 3-1 lead.
Well, who would? Are you making
Warriors blew a 3-1 lead?
Oh, I always think of the Yankees. 2004, Boston Red Sox. That's their greatest rival in the ALCS.
Yeah.
And then Boston won their first World Series in 93 years. God damn. That stings. Yeah. And by the way, the Yankees were down 3-1 this year. Side quest. We're down this year in the playoffs 3-1 to the Houston Astros. And Aaron Boone, who was on the team in 2003, that was a part of the team that lost that 3-1 lead, used footage of Boston overcoming the Yankees to inspire the 2022 Yankees to come back from 3-1. The fuck are you doing, idiot? Anyhow, back to the show. Kenny Omega gets on the microphone post-match and is like, hey, I wasn't supposed to say this, but guess what? I can do this. And he says, next match, hammers are legal because apparently you keep using them. So now we want to use them, even though they've also used it as their advantage. But right. You kind of hide the details.
Let the facts get in the way of a good story.
Yeah. And so he says, next match, no DQ. Anything goes. So next week, we're going to get match 5. Tim, are you expecting Death Triangle to close this out, or are you expecting a 3-2? What's your expectations for match 5?
I'm not expecting Death Triangle to close this out. I think we'll get 3-2. We could get a 4-2, right? We might not get it like to 7. They might go that route because AW does like to occasionally do the thing you're not thinking of. But I don't think we'd do 4-1. But I also wouldn't hate it. I mean, look, these have all been fun matches, but I don't know what else they're going to do that would be so wildly different and above and beyond what they've done. Now, I know when you say best of 7, like, well, it was really 5, right? But hey, I mean, that's real, right? That is real. That's what happens. So I wouldn't hate it. But I think we're going to go to 3-2.
I will say this. The thing that I think they booked themselves in a corner on is, to me, the story is Rey Fénix in the very first match of this best of 7 at the pay-per-view caved, used the hammer, felt horrible about it. Then Penta used the hammer and Rey Fénix was like, hey man, we don't do that. Like, what the hell? And so there's been this underlying tension of Rey Fénix, even tonight when Penta used the hammer on Nick Jackson's ankle, where Penta was like, yeah, we won, but like, that's kind of bullshit. Even when Kenny Omega's cutting the promo, he's cutting the promo on Pac and Penta. Yeah. Rey Fénix has already kind of walked all the way to the back. However, now we're going into a match where the hammer is legal. So I don't see how Rey Fénix could be like, no, not now. Because now it's fine. Like, now you're not breaking the rules. So I think if you were going to have the Elite win, you would have the crisis of conscience come from Rey Fénix, who says like, okay, I'm tired of like winning this way. And he stops him. And then he, costs him the match because of his morality. Right. But when everything's good, I don't see how that's going to happen. So I'm very interested to see how they get there.
I agree. Because I originally thought this was the separation of Death Triangle. I thought this was Pac was going to keep saying, use the hammer. And just kind of wishy-washy until Fénix says, no, don't. And they go, yeah, you're right. We don't. And now Lucha Bros are everybody's favorite babyface.
Right.
And Pac is out there being a bastard.
Yeah.
Just a mean, angry bastard.
Which we still could get there, but it might not happen next week. All right. So then after that, we go backstage and AEW World Champion MJF is being interviewed. And I've said this on our Twitter page at Table Show. If you want to follow along, I live tweet during the show. I said the standard for an MJF promo is so high, and yet he still delivers each time. And then I said, I'm excited for the main event. But I want to talk about that a little bit. When you see MJF and microphone, right? A microphone is next to his mouth or in his hand, one of the two. You're expecting like, oh, what is he going to say? You think back to the Cincinnati promo that he cut on Brian Pillman Jr. or the school shooter promo that he pulled on Darby Allin, like those, oh my God, kind of moments. But sometimes he can just do this where he's like, hey, all the pressure's on you. Doesn't that suck? Like, this is where we're going to find out if you're really a main eventer, because I've been a main eventer since day one. You haven't been. And so I just thought that was so exceptional that it wasn't, really bad digs. It was some digs because he's a heel, but it was really just straightforward of, hey, better not suck, pal, because a lot of people want you to win. What did you think?
I liked it. Good setup. Again, we expect greatness from MJF every time we see him, and he always delivers just with something that is just sharp or just mean, right? And always delivers the heel goods. So this was no different. I thought, you couldn't ask for a better, hey, let's get ready to fight tonight. Here's why you're a chump. Always hitting at least a double when he steps up to the plate, right?
Of course. And then after that, we go back to the entrance ramp and the Acclaimed walkout. And Tim, I thought this was a great episode of Winter is Coming, but it cannot be the greatest episode of Winter is Coming. It can't even really be considered a great episode of AEW Dynamite because Jeff Jarrett's dumbass comes out and just ruins everything. It needs to be in the vernacular of the IWC. X-Pac heat needs to be retired. It is Jeff Jarrett heat. No one wants to see him.
Even his music sounds like it's fucking cop sirens going off in the background. So he sucks. Like nobody wants him around.
You know what it reminds me of? Like, the whole presentation, the music, the look, hanging out with Sanjay Dutt and Jay Lethal and Satnam Singh and all those guys. It reminds me of like when rockers tried to come back for one more album or one more tour. So they do country music because it's the laziest fucking genre to do. That's what he's doing. He's just fucking going, hey man, remember when I used to play electric guitar? We're doing acoustic. And it's like, it fucking sucks. It fucking sucks. Like, stop. Where's Miro? Where is Miro?
Where is Miro? That might be this episode title.
Because credit to Max Caster, even though obviously breaking kayfabe, he knew he was going to get attacked. He gave us some great lines. He mentioned Brittany Griner. He mentions who else did he mention? He was topical. There were some other things that I can't remember right now. I didn't.
And to AEW's credit, notes. They don't do this a whole lot. Where like in WWE, he's not. They're not getting the Elias treatment where they're getting beat up every week.
True.
Where they come out. So, that I didn't hate. I was like, oh, all right, yeah. Sanjay and Satnam Singh around here beating people up. And then I remembered, oh, yeah, God damn it. That means Jeff Jarrett.
I would not hate this if it was Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt saying, or not Sanjay Dutt, excuse me, Satnam Singh. If it was Satnam Singh and Jay Lethal saying, we want to be tag champs. Because then you look at Satnam Singh, and again, kind of the great Khali treatment, although he seems more athletic. But then the elephant in the room is, well, how is Anthony Bowens or Max Caster going to attack that guy, right? Like, that's the interesting thing that you could at least bridge to the next feud. But with Jeff Jarrett, it's the only time I don't want to see the Acclaim because he's going to be a part of it. Like, that's sad. I want a scissor. I don't want him.
Everybody wants to scissor.
So he ends the segment, Jeff Jarrett, that is, after hitting Max Caster over the head with the guitar with scissor this slap nut.
Wait a minute. What? Jeff Jarrett was scissoring way back in the day.
No, I wasn't. He's
Yeah.
not cool enough. No, he's not cool enough to know how to do that.
Watch.
Fucking idiot.
He's gonna
Yeah.
fucking claim it. He's gonna fucking claim it.
Well, here's the
Oh,
thing
yeah.
that again dates him like a fucking 90s country singer. Slapnut. We're still trying to push Slapnut.
Dude,
as
he
a
said
fucking
that
insult.
again. I know. I was like, dude, come on, really? Like, fuck. Man, like, look.
And I get it.
Well,
Well,
I
but,
get
like,
you trying that in 1997 or whatever it was, right? Like, I get you being like, this is going to get
2000.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, like, it just didn't. But, it was worth a shot then. But it is 2020 fucking almost 3, right? Had to check my watch for that because I'm old. But, god damn, dude, slap nuts?
Yeah, it wasn't cool then. And I get it's your shtick, so you got to say it kind of thing. But like, come up,
No, you
here's your
don't.
opportunity to fucking do something different, right? Like you're in a new company that's not owned by you, so it won't be fucking bankrupt in 2 years. And so like, fucking try something. But nope, Slapnut. That's what we get. You fucking fossil. Like, get out of this cool promotion. You are the appendix to pro wrestling. At one time, you served a purpose, but now you just need to be forked and removed. You're bad.
Looks like he smells like an ashtray in Drakkar Noor.
Here's the thing. I think maybe I see some clips on social media that other people retweet. He does that podcast with Conrad. And
who doesn't do a fucking podcast with Conrad? Conrad, call us. But like, who
I'd
the
rather
fuck
you not.
doesn't?
Yeah, and I'd rather you not. I don't really like your vibe. But he talked about how his day job is really good, and he talks about working with promoters that own venues and their perception of AEW and all of that stuff. So like, great, but get off fucking television. I don't even, again, and I want to clarify for anyone who's a new listener or new viewer, I don't personally have any feelings one way or the other about Jeff Jarrett, the human being. It's hard because when it's a character name, but then it's also the real name, I just want to make sure that I'm not attacking the actual person. I'm attacking the character. This is what I used to call pro wrestling hate. It's not real. Like, again, the person may be great, but like the character needs to just
hate the character that is Jeff Jarrett that has spanned the pro wrestling television that we've watched.
Exactly. Yeah. Whatever he's doing backstage and all of that stuff. And I know I took a little shot at him saying the company will go under. Fuck him. But I don't really have any feelings towards him. Just want to clarify that. But also, get the fuck out of here. So next.
Well, I mean, that's my feelings towards him is like, hey, stop being the character of Jeff Jarrett.
Just, man, and there's so many other people that I'd rather see.
Hey, look, you did the thing for Ric Flair's last match. Let's get Jeff Jarrett's last match, right? We'll put on a big thing. We'll make it a pay-per-view. We're not going to watch it, but.
No, this is what you do. You make it the first episode of the Ring of Honor television on Honor Club when no one's bought it yet, and then you do it, and then you put on something better after that. Hey, but we go backstage.
$9.99 a month for that.
There's worse things. Hey, because here's one thing I want to clarify, side quest, about the Ring of Honor Honor Club thing.
Mm-hmm.
I will say you're getting new content and then also 20 some years of back library stuff where you can see CM Punk versus Samoa Joe, Bryan Danielson's historic title run. So if like this style of wrestling, which everyone right now is saying Bryan Danielson's the best, like you want to see him back when in his early 20s, like here's your chance. And so, yes, is it a steep price? Yeah, kind of. But so was the network, right? What was the network? $9.99. So, and I'm not saying,
but I got the pay-per-views with that. That's why
that's true.
Now it's $4.99 or whatever the fuck it is. But
yeah, that's true. But again, a VPN will help you.
Not ESPN Plus, which sucks. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, that's another side quest. But we'll get back on track here. Following up on Jeff Jarrett, we get another thing that I am just completely over, and that's Chris Jericho and the JAS. So they're backstage, and Jericho's talking about how he tapped to the swing, which, thank God, they are approaching it like it should be, as if it's not this dastardly move that will break your neck. It's a fucking child being swung by his father. But he taps Roman at the Ring of Honor pay-per-view. Your new champion is Claudio, by the way, in Ring of Honor. But he talks about how that move should be outlawed. He's going to get his revenge. And then he talks about Daniel Garcia. And Daniel Garcia lost his pure championship to Yuta. And he says, hey, I get it. Like, you lost. You shouldn't have. So you know what we're going to do? You're going to follow one of your elders. And I thought this was going to be Jake Hager. It's Sammy Guevara. Which kind of makes it worse. Because didn't we do this with MJF and Sammy Guevara in the inner circle?
Yeah.
Right?
We did do that, but I do think, and we'll talk about it here after Jericho's match, but maybe we're starting to get the solution of the Jericho Appreciation Society.
I sure hope so, because this is, I'm over it. It is complete transparency with Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to talk about his match, and I'll make a clarifying point when we get to there. But for right now, what I'd like to say about Chris Jericho, after the MJF feud, when he lost, or when he won that match, which he should have lost after the 5 labors of Jericho, everything after that is not good.
Should have retired right then.
Yeah. Eddie Kingston doing his thing. Eddie Kingston's always going to do awesome. He could make a great program with me and I suck. You know what I mean? Like, that wasn't Jericho who made that program. It was Eddie Kingston. But literally everything since MJF on, I just want to erase from my memory. It's just not good. It hasn't been good. And so this is along with it.
Yeah.
So then we get back into the ring. So we get, oh man, just such a fun classic match, at least in my opinion. I'll get your opinion here in a second. But we get Jungle Boy, Jet Perry taking on Brian Cage with Prince Nana. Like I said, I thought this was a good classic old school pro wrestling match. What'd you think?
Yeah. Yeah, this was classic. This was the, babyface overcoming the the more powerful, larger, dastardly heel. And by his sheer grit and toughness, survives for the victory. And he gets up and says, all right, it was this guy did it. This guy did it. Like, you know what I mean? So Jungle Boy gets to have his fierce fucking, like, here's my big dick, right? Moment out there. And I mean, what do we do?
Yeah.
What do we do?
Well,
what do we do with the Jungle Boy?
Well, so it seems like, and one thing I want to clarify too, even though this was a classic pro wrestling style match, I mean, there was a Canadian destroyer, like it was still modern, right? Like it wasn't just, headlocks and
Wrestle Hold 4000.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it had action. So if you haven't seen it, definitely make sure you check it out. But I think what we're doing with Jungle Boy is the giant killer. So he mentions he took out Luchasaurus. Then he just took out the action figure Brian Cage. And so then he says, I'm going after the biggest guy.
Hey, listen,
take
down all the beasts of the jungle.
Well, hold on. Here's where let's talk about it. So he takes out Brian Cage, takes out Luchasaurus. Then he goes, I'm going after the biggest of them all. Big Bill.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that? Who thought that was cool? You have Stokely Hathaway right there. Just run that by him. He's going to tell you it's not cool.
Yeah, I don't know why this Big Bill. Look, I get W. Morrissey is not a great name that rolls off the tongue either.
Morrissey. Just Morrissey. Give her the
Just
W.
Morrissey.
What the fuck was that? Morrissey.
Would be fine. Yeah. It would be fine. Yeah, Big Bill sounds that sounds like classic pro wrestling. That sounds like we get a guy in a trucker hat and some overalls and it's Big Bill.
That sounds like the insult MJF would give him if he was in a feud with him, where like he calls Ricky Starks Richard. It feels like he would call him Big Bill, right? So it's not a good name. It's just not a good name.
I guarantee you that guy, W. Morrissey, isn't going around telling people to call me Big Bill, and nobody's calling him Big Bill. So, yeah, I don't know where this was born of.
I don't know. That
sounds
name
like
is
a JR suggestion.
Or Jericho. The name is not good, but everything else in this segment is. So again, really good match. Jungle Boy calls out Morrissey. I'm just going to start calling him Morrissey. Stokely Hathaway comes out and he's like, what the hell are you going to do, pal? Lee Moriarty comes out. He starts fighting him. Then there comes Morrissey and they're beating him up. And we get a RIP New Jack because they're beating him up while the music's playing. He's like, oh yeah, this is just like New Jack, RIP New Jack. We also get Stokely Hathaway calling Jungle Boy a hoe. I thought that was funny. You don't hear hoe a lot.
Yes,
You
no.
hear
Stokely
bitch.
Hathaway
Yeah.
says shit at like first of all, like he said,
The worst crime you can commit is dick riding without a license.
and then he threw out this thing with the like, use a hoe or whatever. I love me some Stokely Hathaway for just that. Jeffrey Sills in the chat said the way Big Bill hopped out of the ring from a 170-pound Hook had me rafflemow. And we got Hook.
So let's talk about that. So they're the firm are beating up Jungle Boy, and then you hear Action Bronson, which the Chairman's Intent is just one of the best songs of all time. Without a hook, it's just one of the best songs of all time. But here comes fucking Hook. It's
Hook.
And you know how much we love Hook. Anyone who's listened to the show longer than 2 months knows how much we love Hook. This was a great spot because we hadn't seen him in a while, right? He's been kind of dormant, not really doing much. He had the match with Lee and he beats Lee, and then they're mad because he actually really didn't, which he obviously did. And so they've got a beef with it. So it makes sense that Hook would come out here. And now, like Jeffrey said, the firm powder out, they go away. We get Hook helping up Jungle Boy. And what do we got here? The hoodie and the hair? Like, this is a fucking cool team, right?
The boy and his hook.
Boy and his hook. Oh, yeah, what's
right.
That's
yeah.
great. Yeah.
No, good stuff, man. I don't know where we go from here. What we don't necessarily need is Hook has another best friend tag team partner and he just doesn't say anything. But if you don't have anything for Hook, it's better to get him than to not get him occasionally. So, I mean, if you don't have anything in mind, then this won't be terrible, but it feels like it would be stalling Jungle Boy. So I don't know what we do here.
I think the moment, and again, I called for this when Wardlow was going up against Jay Lethal and Satnam Singh, and I didn't get it. But I think we could get it here. I think this is where we have to have Hook T-bone suplex Morrissey. That has to be the spot where he just, all of his weight, all of his power, jumps this motherfucker up with his hips and throws his ass, halfway across the ring. Like, that has to be the spot that we're getting from this feud. The other thing I think we could potentially get, the firm, Stokely Hathaway, potentially outsmarts the new guys, right? Because Jungle Boy is not a veteran. He's still new in his journey in pro wrestling. Hook obviously is newer than him. So Stokely Hathaway can use his mind and outsmart him, which then could potentially lead into Hook gets pissed at Jungle Boy versus Hook. That would be something, would be interesting, but then you might get Jungle Boy getting some boos because everyone loves Hook still. I don't know. Should be interesting. I like all of it.
Yeah, it is interesting to just have this kind of hovering, though. It's like, what is this, right? Like, I don't, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this goes.
The hoodie and the hair, or a boy and his hook. I like both of them. They're great. All right, so then we go backstage. John Moxley, is talking about Final Battle and his win on Rampage, and people are like, hey, what the hell? You think this is what we're doing? Observation, you still aren't seeing Bryan Danielson standing back there with him. So that's interesting just to note right there. But they're talking about all that stuff. And Moxley says, Friday night, I got Sammy Guevara. I'm going to kick his ass. And by the way, Hangman, if you want to fight me, you know where I'm at. And how about this time, you bring your Dark Order nerds. And then they just leave it at that. I think he calls them buddies. I think it would have been better if he called them nerds. But what do you think about
the Dork Order?
But so we're wrapping up Jericho Appreciation Society, Blackpool Combat Club. Especially,
They've even
I think
said it. Like they even, I think like Sammy Guevara even said like that might be over, but it's not over for me. But like this will be it. Yeah.
Yeah. So my question to you is, looks like we're gonna do John Moxley with Hangman. We'll get to Hangman segment here in just a moment. But what do we do with Blackpool Combat Club? Because if we are separating Ring of Honor from AEW, Well, then we're separating Blackpool Combat Club because two of them
Yeah.
are in Ring of Honor and one of them is AEW.
Well, and we are in an interesting scenario now with Blackpool Combat Club because the leader is gone, right? We did address that last week. Now, he won't be showing up on other television programs, and he was the leader. He gave him the name. So, fine. They can be without him. They had started without him, kind of, So, but I just don't know what their goal is. Do they get back to we're going to find a new prospect, and now is Wheeler Yuta the sophomore of the Blackpool Combat Club? And is there some maybe he's a little jealous of that person? Maybe we tell that story for a little while, but it's weird again that you have two of your top, I don't know, 3 names in this group in the Blackpool Combat Club, and Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson. That's a weird dynamic that I don't think we've seen since, forgive me, Main Event Mafia, maybe, right? Like, I don't know how we do this.
But we're not
forgive me. I know Main Event Mafia is not exactly the best, right? But
we're also not getting Bryan Danielson with them. So
True.
there was that little spat with him and Yuta, and it feels like ever since that little spat backstage that we saw, he hasn't been with them once.
I've got it, Tom. Tom, this is easy. So we tell that story. We get Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley maybe have this little, maybe because of the William Regal thing, right? That's the rift that keeps them from really getting on the same page. And then we have Blackpool Combat Club Hollywood and Blackpool Combat Club Wolfpack. It is easy. It's right there in front. It's so easy.
So then Swerve Strickland is doing a promo, and he discusses walking away from Keith Lee, which he did at Final Battle, and says, next week we're going to talk this out. We'll have our moment. Mm-hmm. And he talks about how, hey, it's funny how you're siding with Shane and that group that you used to be with. Apparently they're your friends. Well, guess what? I don't have any friends. And then he has his realization, I don't have any friends. And he kind of giggles.
Yeah. Yeah, that was interesting, the giggle part, right.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I mean, I don't know. I like the realization of I don't have any friends. Fuck. Right? The initial funny because I'm a bad person maybe thing is it was fuck, I don't have any friends, right? And then that kind of fucks him up, but maybe he instantly was I don't have any friends. That's an interesting response, right? To oh yeah. I don't have any friends, right?
It almost sounds like he has a sense of freedom, right?
It's very sociopathic, yeah.
Yeah. So because he has no one to answer to within the wrestling industry,
got nobody to think about, nobody to care about.
So that was very interesting.
Don't have to watch anybody's back.
Yeah, we'll see what happens next week. I'm very interested in that. Where we go from there. Next up, we get the return of the House of Black, and this is a squash match. They take on the Factory, and
poor cutie.
Camarado throws his pick at Julia Hart. Hart spits the mist into his face, and then it's just a one-sided beatdown, and the House of Black get the victory.
Fine, right? House of Black should get a victory in short order over this Keystone Cops group that is, Cutie Marshall and the Factory. But a couple things that really make me sad is as much as every time we see Camarado, we're hey, this new thing where you're wearing the bowler and the velvet, tracksuit or whatever, great. But it's lost in Cutie Marshall's Factory. We're not getting him being the standalone. We just get this snippets of it. So we're losing that. But then he's also getting a little bit of that Big Papa Pump thing where we're man, you put one more needle in that arm, allegedly, you're gonna pop, brother. Yeah, it just leaves me going okay, House of Black, I thought we had a reason for you coming back,
Right. I think it was a good, hey, right? Hey, we're here. Now, if you watched, I believe, Dark or Elevation, I get the two shows confused, on YouTube, there was a backstage promo with Eddie Kingston and Ortiz, and they mentioned the House of Black. Ortiz talked about how they spared him, and he didn't like that feeling. And Eddie Kingston's hey, we're going to fight you. we're gonna fight you. So be ready. So I think that's where we're going. But we did need a here we are. So I like what it was, and it wasn't long either. So credit to them that they didn't drag this out and each one get a tag and all that stuff. They just in and out as it should have been. One other thing, another quick side quest. I watched a clip of BTE, and at the last show they were at,
Because
there
you
was
like
this
the Young
big,
Bucks now.
well, no, I saw it because it was interesting because they had this big dumbbell. It was huge.
Oh,
And
is
they
this the
had
one they were trying to
everyone-
pick up?
They had everyone trying to
Yeah.
pick up. You know who? Now, some people weren't there. Powerhouse Hobbs, I don't think, had an opportunity to do it. There were others, bigger guys that did it. There were 2 guys that got the opportunity to do it and be successful. They were, one, Satnam Singh, which one thing also, it looked hard to grip. It was really round. It wasn't something that you can get your hand around. But Wardlow couldn't do it. Brody King couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Nick Camarado did. And this is where it's like, let's pivot then from Wardlow being the biggest guy in the room, and let's just have that be Nick Camarado.
I will tell you this. When we've been around Nick Camarado, for whatever reason, he does have a charisma, right? And that look now that he's got going on with this kind of, I don't even know what to call it, right? But it just looks goofy, and he's playing into that, right? Like he's got a little pep in his step and a smile, and yeah, I think there's something there that we could run with. Now, I don't know, again, we don't know behind the curtain much, like we're not watching. Maybe he's the drizzling shits in the ring and they can't really put him out there yet or something. I don't know, but
then make him go crazy. You know who was also the drizzling shits on the microphone and was the top guy towards the end of WCW and then made a fucking huge impact in WWE when he debuted? Scott Steiner. Fucking have him be Scott Steiner. Have him call people fat. Have him go out there and just talk nonsense. Obviously, he can't cuss and stuff like that.
yeah.
But just bring in Scott Steiner.
Yeah.
Have Scott Steiner come in for 1 week and give him his blessing. Like, hey, I'm your hookup. Holler if you hear me. And then Nick Camarado just like, Nick Camarado is your hookup. Holler if you hear. Like, don't steal it line for line. You know what I mean? But like, just
but
Scott
like
Steiner.
fuck it up. Be like, holler if you hear Nick Camarado. I'm a freak, and they'll be like, yeah, good enough.
Yeah, sure.
Just
it all checks out. But what the fuck was that? Yeah,
sure thing. I'll send you my bill.
Yeah, just have him be Scott Steiner because he kind of has that vibe.
Have him like being mentored by Scott Steiner at the Shoney's that Scott Steiner owns. Every like week, he's getting his like the Don of the Mafia is giving him. He's like, you got to tell the freaks. You got to put them in line.
Hey, Cutie Marshall did this with Diamond Dallas Page. That's how he got the Diamond Cutter as his finisher. Fucking do this with Scott Steiner.
I mean, why not?
Right there.
He could come out with the fucking chain
the
link.
stress and all, yeah.
Yes.
But what that proved to me is that he's fucking one of the strongest guys.
I saw that too.
Roster.
So, and I think, the best anybody else could do, I think Wardlow like managed to like just get it barely off the ground, but nobody else could even get it off the ground except the 2 that you mentioned, Camarado, and of course Satnam Singh like walked right up to the goddamn thing and scratched his back with it. Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good stuff. Yeah, I saw that. That was fun. Yeah, I don't know what that was. It looked like a movie prop from a fucking Marvel movie or something. It was huge, but it damn sure had to be heavy.
Yeah, it looked like it for sure. All right, let's get back to the show here. We go backstage. Sky Blue interrupts Britt Baker. We're going to get that at Rampage. Fine. Then we get to the most surprising moment of the night. Chris Jericho, he wants that tune-up match. So he goes out there against the jobber. Andretti. Action Andretti. Got it. I was going to say Andrade, but it's
nailed it.
Action Andretti. No. Mario Andretti. Action Andretti. That's
Chemo,
how
everybody. Forgive him.
No. It's like, I can't read. So credit to the crowd in this one. Because Action, they get behind him instantly. Let's go, jobber.
Oh, crowd was hyped tonight. And they really were in for this one. Yeah.
And they were doing all the chants. They did a Bask in Our Glory or Bask in My Glory ripoff where mentioned Jobber. I couldn't really hear exactly what that one was, but it was let's go Jobber. Jobber's the best. Anytime he got offense, oh, we fucking went wild. And Action Andretti gets the fucking victory.
Yeah, we get our 1, 2, 3 kid moment here.
Well, even if you want to relate this to Chris Jericho, go back to WCW Nitro when he upsets Scott Hall. Scott Hall in the NWO wearing the black and red. You know, Scott Hall did this a couple times, as you mentioned, 1, 2, 3 kid as well. So now it happens to Chris Jericho. Then it's revealed by Tony Khan on his Twitter page that Action Andretti gets a victory, or excuse me, gets a contract. So here's the newest member, gets the Santino Marella kind of treatment where debuts with a big win, doesn't win a title. But what do you think about this kid?
Yes. AEW likes to do this a lot, right? And of course, this is what you do. If you run an athletic sporting group, you would have a farm system, right? You're going to get in a lot of young talent. You're going to try them out and see if something sticks. So you're going to do this. But I feel like I'm a little worried that Action Andretti is Private Party, is Dante Martin, is Lee Moriarty, is right, like where we got somebody who can, man, they can do all the moves. Man, they get that deer in the headlights when we put a microphone and a camera in front of them. And
yeah, this was unique in the sense of it was a true jobber, right? No one that was signed beforehand and gets the victory over a top level guy. They've done something similar to when the captain, Sean Dean, beat MJF, but Captain Sean Dean was kind of an established name. Again, not a winner.
And MJF wasn't
the top guy,
Hall of Famer, certified Hall of Famer everywhere he's been.
But very similar, right? Similar to that, but this was a little bit more extreme. The top of the top, most famous name in the company versus I didn't even know who this guy was beforehand, right? It was like not even Danhausen where you knew his name on the indies. It was, I didn't know of him at all. Now, maybe
looked like Will Ospreay's younger brother.
Yeah. Now, whoever's watching, they probably know because, they know more than I do about wrestling, which another quick side quest. Here's another thing I can't stand about the IWC. And I'm not that angry tonight, but I do want to say this.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah.
This is the only niche interest, whatever you want to call it, where if you only like one thing, you're not a true pro wrestling fan, right? So like Tim, I like football. I know a lot about the NFL. You know what I don't know shit about? The Canadian Football League. But I'm still a football fan,
you don't even
right?
know much about NCAA football.
Yeah, I don't care about that
right.
either. Yeah, whatever. But I know a lot about the NFL. And so people are like, oh, he's a big football fan. Like, people will say that about me. This is the only thing that if you're a WWE guy or an AEW guy, it's like you're wearing a scarlet letter and you're shunned from the rest of the community because you should be knowing who the Central States heavyweight champion is.
The only thing,
Omaha, Nebraska.
The only thing I think that you might encounter this kind of treatment in a genre is maybe punk music. Right?
Yeah.
Punk music folks will be like, oh, you only know the or whatever,
Sex
right?
Pistols,
you only know the Dropkick Murphys and fucking you're like, all right, fuck off, man. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very much that same kind of attitude. It's this hipster, oh, I was a fan before it was cool.
But like, or even just like you have to know everything about everything. And it's like, no, I like one thing a lot.
They'll be like, name 3 indie wrestlers from Japan. Be like, I don't fucking know.
I don't fucking care. Yeah. Well, oh, did you watch his stuff in New Japan when he was a young boy? No, I fucking didn't. And
no,
it's
that's
okay.
a weird term. I wish you'd stop saying it.
Well, yeah, it is a weird term. But yeah, look, we have people that we know that like the independent scene. And if you're all into that and you don't know anything WWE, it doesn't make you any less of a fan of pro wrestling than the reverse. If you only know Bobby Lashley, Seth Rollins, Randy Orton, that's like, it's fine. I hate that you have to know the entire spectrum of everything to be a wrestling fan. It's like, fuck off. Anyhow. So after that, we get a backstage interview with Ricky Starks and another great one, Tim. What do you think of this backstage promo?
I like this one. And very much specifically because it wasn't the same thing that he gave us last week, right? We loved last week's promo, and we talked it up a whole bunch, and a whole bunch of people did. But a lot of people also said they didn't like it. Again, right? Some people like some things, some people don't. A lot of people I saw online were giving Ricky Starks shit for his similarities to The Rock, which we somewhat addressed. And I think people are forgetting The Rock didn't trademark or invent rapid fire delivery, right? Like that, because somebody can rattle off the insults quickly doesn't mean they're just doing it to be like The Rock. It just means they're fast, right? And I kind of mentioned this, like the swagger and stuff that he has is just a swagger you get when you know, like it's big dick energy, if we're being honest, right? Like it's just that he's like, I know I'm the shit. And so it is similar, but this didn't feel even close to that. This was much more just like it was this, like, I don't even know how to describe it, right? He's just like, no, like, as I told you before, I am everything you have been trying to say that you are, because I'm the fucking greatest. And I'm going to fucking put my foot through your ass and show you I'm the greatest. I'm going to walk out of there and embarrass you and show everybody that I'm the goddamn greatest, like I said. Next, right? Like it was just like he was almost bored of this, and I loved it. I loved all of this.
Yeah, I like the feel of this because it had that feel of in the locker room before the event. There's a different energy, especially if you watch fights, and they'll do this from time to time where they'll interview a boxer or interview a MMA fighter the night of the fight, 5 fights before his or her fight is going to happen. And there's just that different energy than at the press conference 3 days beforehand or at the weigh-ins the day before. When it's the night of, it's like we all know the bullshit's getting pushed to the side. And now this is really what I'm saying. And that's what Ricky Starks felt here. Is it wasn't the, I'm going to say a one-liner so that I can get a t-shirt. It was, I legitimately think I'm better than you. And you know that I'm better than you kind of thing. I mean, you know, MJF says that kind of stuff as well. But both guys had that energy of, it's going to be about 20 to 30 minutes. And I'm going to punch you in the face. And that's what I liked about both promos. They were really good.
Where they both are lost in their own sauce. They both really wholeheartedly believe their own bullshit or whatever it may be. And and I even like, though, that the Starks line of like sorry, like if it just means that you've never experienced people that actually fucking like you and support you, but like I fucking have, right? Like I like that portion of it. It's like that just means that like nobody fucking likes you. Like, sorry that you don't know what that's like, but like I do, because I'm the fucking realist and I'm the coolest, not you. Yeah. Oh, I love this. And you're right. As you said last week, man, we've got to capture this, and we've still got the main event to go, but we have got to capture this. We cannot let this go.
Tim. All right. So after the Ricky Starks promo, a really quick FTR talks about their loss to the Briscoes, which if you haven't seen that fucking dog collar match, make sure you do. When we do our recaps of matches of the year, that's going to be on mine. Spoiler alert. Then we get Chris Jericho doing a temper tantrum. He's throwing everything, hitting the chair, all that. But Tim, as you mentioned, we still have the main event. But right before the main event, you know what we get? It's
time for the women. Yeah! Right before the main event, we get the women all the fucking time. Yes.
All the time.
That's how we like it, Tony. Every time. Predictable.
Death, taxes, and a women's match before the main event.
We're a little upset we didn't get the women's half hour, but women before the main event, at least we're getting that.
Yeah, that's the staple we need. And so here we go. We get Ty Mello taking on Ruby Soho. Credit to the crowd. They're into this.
They were into this, which made it better probably, I think, than we would have thought it was without the crowd being into it.
Yeah, the thing with Ruby Soho that I think she has a problem of is similar to Elias, where you look at Elias, the whole packaging and everything says like, this will be something that the crowd will like. And when they make the surprise entrance or do, in Elias' case, a concert, the crowd eats it up. And then the bell rings and everyone sits on their hands. And Ruby Soho is kind of a victim of that. That song hits, we all dance. She runs down, she clears the ring. destination. So yeah, we get all of it. And then she wrestles and we go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's not bad. It's kind of like Monday Night Raw. It's just fine. But in this match, at least the crowd was into it. And so we had a back and forth kind of affair. And then Ruby Soho picks up the victory with the destination unknown. So that was cool. After the match, Anna Jay runs down. Here's the thing that caught me off guard. And this is completely me. But when women wrestlers come out without bells and whistles, as I like to call it, it throws me off. Anna Jay just came out in a sports bra and black shorts.
Mm-hmm.
There was no like words on it. There was no fishnets. There was no like taped wrist. I thought it was a fan at first. I was like, what the fuck is this? It's just so normal. It just looks so normal. So I don't know. That just caught me off guard. But yeah. So now Anna Jay drives Ruby's face to the mat. So we'll probably get that match. Cool.
Yeah.
Tim, then we go backstage. This was probably, maybe it's because I'm on this chemo pill, whatever. I don't know, but I damn near cried about this next backstage interview we do. So Alex Marvez asked Hangman Adam Page for a medical update. Hangman's like, oh, you want an update? Here, I'll give you the update. So I get knocked out. I'm out for 60 seconds, I think is what he says. And I get put in the ambulance, and about halfway through, I come to. I'm starting to get my bearings. They ask me questions. What's today's date? I think he said it was October 18th. What city are we in? Cincinnati. Who'd you wrestle? The champion. And then the EMT says, well, man, you got about 200 texts and 100 phone calls. So you're going to need to unlock your phone to obviously address the people who want to know your safety, right? Safety and concerns. And they hand him the phone, and on his lock screen is his son. And they ask him, they say, so is that your son? And he says, yeah. And they go, oh, that's cute. Or he's really cute. What's his name? And he says to Alex Marvez and to us, he can't think of it. For an hour, he doesn't know his son's name.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have kids. If I couldn't remember my dog's name, I'd fucking start feeling bad. I couldn't imagine a kid. Jesus.
Yeah. Well, and that's it. It does well for the story of like why Hangman Page is so focused now and driven, which might even be irrationally. Like as we watched, Moxley didn't like go to purposely injure Hangman, right? But Hangman needs this because Hangman, ultimately, if we're a psychologist here, Hangman is upset with himself, but it's taking the form of Jon Moxley.
Well, I can understand wanting revenge because that's the man who did it to you, right? You feel,
right.
Why am I feeling this way? That person caused it, right? The line also that kind of got chills down your spine was Jon Moxley wants to go to hell. I'll take him there because I've been there. Now, again, I'm paraphrasing. Don't say that I misquote him because I'm not trying to, but you got the gist of what he's saying here. Both guys are right. You know what I'm saying? Because on one hand, yeah, I knocked you out. I'm moving on. And the other one said, you put me in a state that I never want to experience again. Now I demand that you feel what I felt, and I'm going to make you feel it. I mean, both guys are right. Both guys are wrong too, right?
And there's even just the like, hey, you and I both know that was a freak accident of you fucking, you know what I mean? Like me falling wrong, and I'm going to show you that like if that didn't happen, I would have beat your ass. You don't get to walk around like you won.
But to Jon Moxley, he says, oh, I'd do that again. I'll probably do it again the next time we face. Look, the last time we faced, you fucking still ended up on your...
And both are right? Like, hey, man can say, like, if I didn't slip and fall on my head there, you know, as you're holding me or whatever, like, then I get up and I beat your ass. He's like, okay, but you didn't, and I dropped you on your motherfucking head. So, tough.
And their last pull apart had the Blackpool Combat Club come down, Claudio and Yuta, and pull him apart. And Hangman was kind of flustered and he couldn't really focus. And so that's when John Moxley's like, all right, well, the next time bring your Dork Order. So it's a fair fight for you. And almost arrogantly is like, okay, man, sure, we'll do it. Best of 7. Like, I'm going to beat you 4 times in a row. It doesn't fucking matter. So I like it. And even John Moxley, to his credit, is like, I kind of like this guy. It's fun. It's fun. He's like, pats him on the head.
Yeah.
Pats him on the head. But man, that Hangman promo.
Well,
Woo-hoo.
I am interested in this idea that they are referencing the Dark Order. And Hangman even brought up that he referenced the Dark Order, but Evil Uno's in the back like, hey, motherfucker, like, you gotta know. Like, keep me the fuck out of this. I saw what he did to you. I ain't trying to wind up that way. So, like, we say not a whole lot in pro wrestling happens by accident. What is the specific point of the, like, double, triple mentioning of the Dark Order here?
The only thing I can think of is a Rampage or Dynamite. We get John Silver, Uno.
So there's
and
a reason
Hangman
it's just
versus...
underwhelming.
Yeah, I think it's just to get the Dark Order
Triple
and Hangman
threat.
versus no, just the 6-man tag. Yeah, I don't think Dark Order.
Yeah, that's what I
be
mean.
in there.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
6-man tag.
The 6-man tag is what I meant. Right? Yeah, 3-on-3.
Yeah. That's what I think. But who knows? I don't know. So yeah, very, very good promo. Was very impressed. And again, I almost cried when he mentioned that kid stuff because goddamn.
Yeah.
All right, then we get to the main event, and it is our heavyweight championship and Dynamite Diamond Ring. Winner takes all. I liked how the referee had like the belt. And then, like, the ring was like, hey, for both of these.
These two things. Yeah.
All right, they're both equal.
And $23.17.
There's a cap. You want a cap? Yeah.
Yeah. And a
man,
signed Jungle Boy poster.
So this match was really good. Again, another classic match that didn't try to be more than it should have been. And it was a main event of a weekly television show. This wasn't All Out. This wasn't Revolution. This was Dynamite. Winter is coming, but Dynamite. I really like this match. What did you think?
Same thing. I really liked the storytelling aspect that they pulled here. This was a classic match where, I mean, Ricky Starks was pulling out all the stops and getting so close, but MJF could still just keep him, just ever so close. And then MJF almost got a couple times, but had to do something heelish to get out of it, right? Like, they just told that, but in the end, you even called it. Low blows him, and the ref ain't looking, gets the pin.
Yeah,
and so now, this is what you said. Okay, he's cut 2 fucking great promos. He got low blowed. What do we do? What we always saw on the other side of the fence of premier wrestling television in America is, we're going to run it back. Oh, you low-blowed me. We're going to do it at the next pay-per-view. And then we're going to do it at the next pay-per-view. And then we're going to do it at the next pay-per-view. I don't know that we should get that. I mean, you could squeeze one maybe, but MJF still has to win it, right? So what do you do to keep Ricky Starks on fire? Like, somebody else has got to draw Ricky Starks' attention away, but keep that same energy away.
That's the trickiest thing, because post-match is what made it even worse for me, as far as like the doom of what potentially could be Ricky Starks' push coming to an end. Because yes, MJF does the referee's distracted, low blow, gets the 1, 2, 3, haha, I leave. Now, again, if you're going to do the run it back or anything like that, that's where Ricky Starks can get on a promo or get on a microphone, cut a promo, say, kind of like what Kenny Omega said, next time it's no DQ, something like that. But what we instantly got, match is over, here comes Bryan Danielson, because the foreshadowing from MJF has been, hey, Bryan Danielson, I took out your mentor, you're a loser, so we're instantly, it feels like going right to there, right? Because MJF takes off, he runs, he goes up to the ramp, he holds up the title, Bryan Danielson points at him. The odd man out there is Ricky Starks.
I think the whole time since MJF was like, I'm taking this title. Like, that storyline has been already written that he will be taking on Bryan Danielson, because once they had to pivot away from Punk, it became this William Regal story.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, we've had to pivot away necessarily from William Regal, but we can still continue it on with Bryan Danielson, which is where we were trying to get to. The Ricky Starks thing, I don't know why that popped in the middle, and to Ricky Starks' credit, he ran with it and made it catch fire to be way more meaningful than it probably should have been on paper, because it was probably a stall tactic. And they were like, oh, crap, we've got the Dynamite Diamond Ring thing. And they just put 2 and 2 together. But, I
think
you
they
have
needed
to do something. But who could
right.
you, like, I don't know.
Well, so I think they did it because Winter is Coming is still a special event for them. It's their Clash of Champions, the old school WCW. It's on TBS kind of special event, right? So they wanted a title match. Ricky Starks. Look, everyone was clamoring for more Ricky Starks, as you saw on the internet and everywhere else. So it made sense. All right, do that, right? The one person I think you could have him get his attention and maybe do some fun stuff with is the guy he beat, Ethan Page. Ethan Page could be like, dude, you fumbled the match. You know who wouldn't have fumbled that match? Me. And then you do Ethan Page, Ricky Starks. I wouldn't hate that. Those two guys I like.
I know we flirted with this angle before too, but I mean, the TNT champion is out there, and Ricky Starks could fucking throw some promos down against the Samoa Joe.
Yeah, but Samoa Joe would kill him.
I mean, but that's a hell of a name that could do a job for him.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
Title.
Oh, I'm not saying that couldn't happen. I'm saying for next week, because that's my biggest concern. Is next Dynamite needs to have Ricky Starks selling, grabbing his balls, whatever, and saying like, I want my revenge. And then someone and says it. And that's where I think the easiest thing to buy us some time to still keep them on our television is Ethan Page and Stokely Hathaway are like, dude, you beat us just to do that, you loser. And then we could have won. And then you got a little bit. Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And could have done something like that. This maybe, Samoa Joe, but like next week, I think the easiest layup would be Ethan Page.
Yeah, because somebody has to like heal him up, right? Somebody's got to like poke the bear or take something from him, draw his attention away. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I could see that. So here would be my 3 suggestions. 1 for next week. 1, Ethan Page, because that's easy, right? Hey, you took my spot. You couldn't do what I could do. 2, more interesting, House of Black approaches him and is like, hey man, seem lost. Seem not with it. You could have won that match if you were focused. And then Ricky Starks does the fuck you, and then they beat him into submission, potentially, right? The whole join the cult. No, I'm pretty. Fuck you. Put on some paint on your face, something like that. Who knows? And then 3, Samoa Joe wouldn't be a bad backup, right? Where it's like, hey, check him out. So we'll see. But that was AEW Dynamite. Again, it was a great episode, but not an all-timer because Jeff Jarrett was on it. So fuck that guy. But it was really fun.
But I love these specially named episodes, right? This Winter's Coming, the Road Rager, right? They always deliver on these, right? The crowd always seems to be into them. I don't know what they're doing, differently to plan for those versus some of the others, but like they always find a way to make sure something hype happens on these episodes. Something hype also happened this week, once again, with Jeffrey Todd being the beer sponsor of the week. I heard Jeffrey Todd is so awesome that if Dave Chappelle called him up on stage, nobody would boo. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Is that something?
Right. You don't get the reference? Yeah. Elon Musk. He called Elon Musk up on stage and the whole crowd fucking booed him for like 40 minutes.
Elon Musk actually went up there? Elon Musk was there?
Yeah, he like called Elon Musk up. He was like, he's like, hey, everybody, the richest man in the world. And he was in San Francisco, so they booed him for like 40 minutes straight while he like, ironically, didn't know what to fucking do and waved and shit, and then tweeted about it for hours late at night.
I didn't know that. No, Jeffrey Todd smells of success and dreams fulfilled.
Well, we know he has great taste because he's a fan of the Spanish announce table, and so are you, hopefully, now that we've made you listen this far. And you too could be a beer sponsor of the week and hear how great you are. All you got to do is donate on SpanishAnnounceTable.net. There's PayPal links or there's Cash App on the Twitter link. You can also, if you don't want to donate, if you just want to get something for your money, you can buy our shirt at Pro Wrestling Tees. You can search for Spanish Announce Table, or it's ProWrestlingTees.com/Spanish Announce Table. And, God, this was fun. Tom made it the whole way through. The chemo and the drinking didn't affect you yet, or you might pass out as soon as we hit stop recording. Like, I'm hanging by a thread, Tim. Don't worry.
I don't even know who I'm talking to. I thought you were Luchasaurus.
All right. On that note, we will just get out of here, and we will see you next week on the Spanish Announce Table.
The Spanish Announce Table.